What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Bachelor Tea Party. I am Zuri Hall, and we are back for a brand new season of The Bachelorette. This time, of course, with our new leading lady, Katie Thurston. And today, I am joined, as always, by Ashley Iaconetti Haibon and Jared. Hi, Jared.
Hello. That's all I got.
Yes, as well as Kelley Flanagan. Hey, Kelley, it's nice to have you on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Of course. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. But before we talk about this episode, obviously, there have been a few updates in Bachelor Nation, a few major ones that we have to talk about. We knew that Chris Harrison wasn't coming back for this season, but now we just found out that it has been confirmed, according to Deadline breaking news, that he's leaving the franchise for good. I'm curious to know, what were your initial reactions when you heard the news?
We're very upset.
I mean, we're just sad. I mean, it's, I asked to come on this. I wasn't even supposed to be here, but hearing the news about Chris Harrison, I mean, I don't think this is hyperbole saying this might be one of the biggest moments in the Bachelor franchise history.
Like, truly the end of an era.
I mean, we always talked about like, oh, when is Chris going to leave? Will Chris ever leave? What will the franchise look like after Chris? And then it's here. Like Chris, I mean, I think we all kind of saw the writing on the wall and figured Chris may not come back after we found out that he wasn't going to come back for Katie's season, and then it was recently announced that he's not coming back for Paradise.
Yeah, I think that like we were not really surprised because there were some rumors going around this week that he wasn't going to come back from Michelle's season, and once that started swirling, I was like, I don't think he's ever back. I don't think he's going to come back after a year.
Yeah, and let me preface it by saying the rumor has it, or according to the report, he got an 8-figure settlement. So it's not like I'm crying for the dude. He's fine, but I also feel
we're
bad.
Sad about
we're sad.
This situation.
It's an end of an era, and Chris is a friend, and I'm not condoning the interview he gave, but I always said from the beginning I wanted him to get the opportunity to host the show again. And I remember I was on here during Matt's season. I was really hopeful that they were going to bring Chris out in the after final rose then and like really sit down.
I wanted that too, honestly. I thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, and like have an uncomfortable conversation. And that obviously didn't happen. And now here we are. And now Chris, after 19, 20 years, whatever it is no longer the host of the show. And it makes me sad because we have such an emotional connection with him, not only, as the host of the show, but as a friend. And he's someone who's been there and has given us guidance and has been there for supporting us.
It's never going to be the same.
Yeah, and we just want to support him, whatever endeavor he has next. Like, I will support him in whatever he does. And I hope that I hope he just is doing well. And so,
Yeah, Jared's the perfect spokesperson for all of our feelings here in the audience.
Kelley, would you agree? What were your thoughts when you initially heard the news?
Actually, I just heard it right before I came on here. It is sad just because there is a format to the show and he's a huge part of that. So, him going away or him exiting the franchise is going to be different. Watching Tayshia and Caitlyn last night, I think they both killed it. It was cool to see a different dynamic. They brought more of the girl gang energy. I wonder how it's going to happen when it comes more towards the engagement. That's where like Chris was great at giving advice. You looked up to him to a sense of, he's like your second dad.
Yeah, it was like a parental energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can't speak on how Tayshia and Caitlyn are going to try to turn that girl gang energy into someone that you admire and look up to in terms of advice, because Chris nailed that. But I feel for him in a sense. I think it's definitely going to change the whole dynamic of the show. But hey, if whatever's meant to be is meant to be, hopefully Chris could get something big or whatever coming out of this. I feel for him, and I definitely think it's going to kind of change the dynamics of the show, but I guess we'll just have to see.
And I just want to kind of add that like people don't even understand the talent that it takes to conduct those live shows. Like, he is so incredible in those moments. So those are some really big shoes to fill. I thought that yesterday, like his lack of presence was so obvious, even like with the voiceovers in the beginning and the end of the episode. It was just like, oh, where's Chris?
Yeah, because everything about him is so synonymous with the franchise, so it's hard to.
100%. And and also I want to make it known, just because we're sad that Chris is leaving doesn't mean that we don't want Caitlyn or Tayshia to do an incredible job, which we both know they will do. We love Caitlyn and Tayshia. Those are two, thoughts are not mutually exclusive. Like we feel really bad for Chris and we want him to be the host of the franchise, but also I want Caitlyn and Tayshia to be super successful and I want them to crush this season. I don't want The Bachelor to be canceled. I want the show to, honestly, I never want the show to be canceled. I want it to live on forever because it's so
a legacy for us.
It's a legacy for us, but it's also like we're so we love the franchise so much for what it's done for us. We're eternally grateful for it. And so it sucks.
And not to go on, but I think it's interesting to point out that, there he was trying to give grace to Rachel and he, loses his position on the show, which could have absolutely been a mutual decision or even his own decision at this point.
We don't know.
But the two of them, Matt and Rachel, are now together.
There is an irony there. I will say that. But at the end of the day, to your point, Jared, the settlement is a thing. He'll be fine regardless, but I do understand where you're coming from when it comes to the emotional legacy of the show. And the fact of the matter is he is absolutely the face of that franchise or has been up until this point. And they are big shoes to fill because he is or was really good at his job. So we'll just have to see who takes the helm. I'm curious to know what you guys think about that. I mean, obviously Tayshia and Caitlyn are handling the heavy lifting for this season, but they're not technically hosts, right? They made it very clear that this was kind of a fill-in position for the season. Do you have any ideas about who you think it should be, who it might be, how the format might change moving forward?
Okay, so I think that Tayshia and Caitlyn definitely were obviously gal pals / guides as they showed yesterday. It didn't seem like they were even filling in as hosts. The only thing that they really said hosty was like, this is the final rose and say your goodbyes and all that. But everything else seemed like it was more of a support system than it was a host. I think that's only going to apply for this season. I think we're going to get more of a preview for what's to come with Paradise. And I think if David Spade knocks it out of the park, he might be a fun option. He'll bring a lot of levity to the show, which may be more appropriate just for Paradise, but we'll see.
Yeah.
There's lots of other hosts too coming. It's not just David. We have Wells and Sarah, and we have a couple others that I have a word of, but I cannot.
Wait, Ashley,
I can't.
Okay, fine. I tried. Kelly, what do you think about it moving forward?
I loved the Tayshia and Caitlyn energy with the girl gang going on, but kind of what Ashley was saying, I think that it needs to be someone who could also give those serious conversations. I think David Spade will be hilarious to do it, but at the end of the day, when it comes down and you're freaking out and you're about to get engaged or considering that, who do you want to be there as your support system? And I think that's someone that you kind of have to look up to in a sense, to be okay, I admire you, I look up to you. So I don't know who they're going to choose, but I think that they should definitely look for a dynamic of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. You guys mentioned David Spade, of course, filling in to guest host Bachelor in Paradise. Access Hollywood actually chatted with Katie Thurston recently, and she weighed in on David joining Bachelor in Paradise, and her response is pretty interesting. So check this out.
He's a comedian, so if that's what's happening, then I think that's refreshing. I'm more focused on actually my exes showing up to Paradise because I know some of them are. Ooh. And I have friends who are in Paradise, so it's just going to be a very interesting season for me to watch in general. Normally I watch it as a fan. Right. Now knowing I have friends there, ex-boyfriends there, I'm absolutely tuning in.
Now, Katie, do you tell the friends my exes are off limits or what? What's the deal there?
Fair game. They're my exes for a reason. They're my exes for a reason. You can have them.
Jared had to run out, just in case anyone's wondering where Jared just went. But let's dive in to last night's episode. Obviously, kicking things off with Katie. Ashley, I want to check in with you first because I know you're a little on the fence last season, but how are you feeling now that she's made her debut as a Bachelorette?
Yeah, so I wasn't sure that Katie, being that we didn't get to know her a ton from the show, and we didn't really see her super heartbroken, that people were going to go in feeling super attached and invested in her finding love. I think yesterday's episode was actually really fun and light. I still don't think we got to we feel like we're best buds with Katie, but it was a great episode, great first episode, which I normally don't say. I think it's a little bit too formulaic at this point, but there was something about this group of guys that I really said okay, that one, okay. And that doesn't always happen.
Yeah. Kelley, do you agree? How were you feeling about the last night's episode?
You know what, kind of what Ashley said as well. Like, I feel like we didn't get to see Katie in like a love atmosphere, even though she was on the show. Like, we saw like the badass girl who stood up for the other girls or stood up for what she believed in, but we didn't really see like a love story between her and Matt. So it was kind of cool to see her like get giddy and like super girly and like have feelings for these dudes and see what her interests are, and just like loving the cat guy. I was so confused by it. I was like, she loves that cat guy, she's obsessed with that cat guy. And just seeing like her little cute quirky stuff that shows how she loves and what she would be like in a relationship.
I gotta go off of that. I thought what we learned most about Katie in last night's episode through who she was so attracted to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To a lot of the cool, quirky guys.
Yeah.
And speaking of the guys, obviously last season we learned Katie's very open with her sexuality. One guy was getting a lot of traction online, Mike, because he talked about the fact that he's a virgin and he's waiting until marriage. So he's saving himself for that. Do you think there's a world in which this could actually work between the two of them?
I don't know. I talked to Katie yesterday on my Almost Famous podcast, and I asked her how she reacts to this. I go, it's kind of a double standard. You know, girls can go on the show and talk about it, and it's not like a turnoff. But a lot of the times, if you talk about a guy who's a virgin, girls are like, I don't know, I want to do that, right? And she said that her reaction when she finds out surprises even her. So we'll see.
All right.
I actually respected it for him to go on. You know, you could be sex positive and also a virgin. I don't think Mike is trying to go out there and say that he hates sex. I think he's just trying to say that he's trying to save it for someone special. And that I could respect. You know, he's not going out and just sleeping with random people. And I think that Katie would kind of agree with that. Like, I don't think Katie's just going to go and have sex with a bunch of random dudes that she doesn't have feelings for. Like, you could be sex positive and say, hey, sex is amazing, I love sex. But at the same time, you don't have to go out there and say, I need to go and share myself with every single person because I think that way.
Yeah. Really well said.
Yep. All right. The over-the-top entrances, it's what we love. There were plenty of them last night. Let's talk about Cody and his blow-up friend. Katie seemed to get a kick out of it. What did y'all think about that arrival?
I think this is another double standard that I don't know if I can like fight against. Because Katie shows up with her vibrator last season and it's cool and it's hilarious and she becomes known for it. And then this guy comes out, and I prepared myself by the way that he described this as a golden retriever or some amazing majestic animal was going to come out of the car. He was like, she's kept me warm at night. She's my support. And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, how sweet is it that he brought his dog? I'm so excited. His dog's gonna come out of this car. And then it was a blow-up doll. And I was like, whoa. I don't know. I personally, like, I wouldn't have loved
Ashley,
it. I loved it.
Ashley, I felt the same way. I was like, oh no, like here comes like a puppy or something. But then when he said he was intimate with her, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, I have a different feeling about this. But again, it's all about Katie coming out with the vibrator. So when he was brought out, what was her name? Sandy, I think it was. I think it was Sandy. When he brought out Sandy, I was like, oh no. Yeah. I like felt the embarrassment for him, but hey, if he could own that, that's him. Good for you. Yeah. I would never have the confidence to do that in my life, but if he does, good for you.
Yeah, we'll see if Cody and Sandy can go the distance. We've also got James, who was in the present box, which seemed extremely hot. What do you guys think about how far he's gonna go?
I think he's gonna get far. There was an immediate connection. She was so attracted to him right off the bat, and he had a swag that I can get down with.
Ashley, when I saw him, so usually when like I didn't expect him to be that attractive. And when he came out and he had this swagger and just very calm demeanor about him, I was like, are you sure you're the same guy that just popped out of that box? Because I feel like it doesn't add up here. But when he came out, I was like, man, you are extremely attractive. You seem normal. I'm surprised you just jumped out of a box, but hey, so be it. And you could tell she liked him.
Yeah.
I put him in top 5.
Top 5. Okay. All right. You guys mentioned the cat guy, Connor, obviously dressed up as a cat, and then they actually vibed. They ended up kissing. So the connection is clearly there. What do you think about those two together?
This is the first time a costume has worked like this. She was so into the costume. I guess she's a real cat lady. And then he seemed so sweet, so genuinely into her. There was like a warmth around him. He didn't present himself like he was like in a cat costume to be super kitschy. It was like he was in a cat costume because like it was something that she really would appreciate. I don't know. It wasn't just like an attention. It was really weird. It really worked.
I think this is the first time seeing Katie, like her little quirks come out. When he was scratching on the door with his little mitts, she was like, oh my God, that's so cute. And I was like, is it? Is it? But she loved it. So, you know, hey, he killed it. It seems like they have the same sense of humor. She kept saying that back and forth. She was like, he just gets me. And I was like, something along those lines. I was like, all right, Katie, like this, you know, this is where we're seeing your personality shine. And you like those little quirky things. And so he killed it coming out with that cat costume. He knew what he was doing, and Katie really appreciated it.
You guys, what about that physical chemistry with the kiss? Like that was a hot kiss, and the black nose all over her face and not giving a crap about it. I was into it.
Oh my goodness. Only night one. I can't wait to see what happens next. Another contestant who was heating things up with Katie, Justin Glaze, he painted for her and she seemed really into him. Are y'all loving him?
Justin was interesting to me because in my opinion, I think that like, yeah, she liked him, right? But did she like him enough for him to go in for that kiss so quickly? I don't know. That seemed quick to me. The cat kiss didn't seem quick to me.
I think we're going to see a lot more of him. I don't think they aired too much for us to understand that kiss.
Yeah.
I think that he might be a bigger storyline just because that kiss was there, and we're like, wait, we haven't really seen much airtime of him yet, but then we just see a random clip of them kissing. So it was cool about how he's a painter. I think he's extremely talented. But yeah, I think we're going to see more of him because it didn't really play out to a point where it made sense yet.
I think Kelly's right because they had an intro package for him. They had to show that first kiss on the first night, and he is present in so much of the season-long teaser at the end.
All right, next up, let's talk about the first impression rose. It went to Greg, who gave Katie a necklace that his niece made. What did you guys think about that? Were you expecting that he would be the one to land it?
Super, super cute. I love the necklace, and I love that he made that joke that it wasn't real gold. He's funny, and he reminds me kind of like of a Hugh Grant, between his hair and just like the way that he's like awkwardly nervous, but like in a very charming way. I feel like we're going to see a lot of him, but I do think she had a stronger connection with Connor B night one, but she gave the rose to Greg as more of a reassurance because he was so open about how nervous he was. And I know this because she actually told us on my podcast yesterday.
You know what, Ashley, this is what shocks me about Katie, because when I view Katie, I look at this girl who's like, she's a bad, like, she has her crap together. She knows her worth. Like she has her shit together, and she's just sitting there and she's like, I want a strong, independent guy. And I'm like, good for you, Katie. And then I was so confused that she gives the first impression rose to the guy who's completely nervous, who's sitting there and was like, just talking about how nervous he wasn't really like loud and confident in himself. Like there was an appeal to him. I saw it. I think everyone on our screen saw it, that he had this like weird appeal that people were like, oh wow, I really like Greg. But for what Katie wants, it kind of went against what she was like telling us as to what she's looking for. So I was shocked to see that first impression rose go to him.
That's an interesting one, yeah.
Okay. All right, well, let's wrap up this episode with a round of roses or thorns, Super Tease edition. So if you liked the moment, we give it a rose. If you didn't, you can give it a thorn and then explain why, okay? So first up, we've got Blake Moynes, who is in Tayshia season, appearing in the Super Tease outside of Katie's window with a boombox. Rose or thorn?
I'm going to give a rose that. I know Blake personally. I think he's a great guy. So I got to give my rose to him.
All right, Ashley?
I say a rose because I do feel like there's a compatibility there between both of the way that they were, the both of them were presented on their respective seasons.
Okay, got it. What about all of the drama that unfolds with the other guys after Blake shows up? Is that a rose or a thorn? Are we into the drama? Is this a thorny rose?
Thorny rose. I'm gonna give it a thorny rose. You know why? Because I don't believe that there's gonna be any drama surrounding Blake's entrance. My thought is that he comes next week really early on so that the guys don't get annoyed. And I think it was a very easy way to edit the tease to make it look like it was like he was the center of the drama. I think there's gonna be that guy last night. Do you remember that guy who just said like, I don't like you, I haven't liked you since I first met you? It's like as if they met years ago.
Right.
I think he's gonna be the drama king.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Kelly.
I'm going to give a thorn to the drama that goes around Blake. I think that there will be some drama because think about it, Ashley, if you're in that house and, you know, it kind of played out on Matt's season, it kind of played out on my season when Hannah Brown came. I was never on any of those dates, but there is tension that starts. There is some kind of like thing in your head where you're like, oh my God, do I have to deal with this? Like, I already have to deal with so much. Like, I don't want to deal with another person who's already known in the Bachelor franchise. Like, it does start controversy. I think some of the guys will be jealous of Blake. They'll already know who he is to some degree, maybe, but I think it's going to start some controversy and I wish it didn't.
Okay.
Maybe Kelly has inside knowledge.
Oh,
Maybe I do. Maybe I don't.
come back around next week. Give us more info.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Next up, one of the guys saying, I didn't come here for the bromance. I came here for the followers in the super team.
It feels nice to me. We'll
Yeah,
see.
I was going to say the same.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone actually saying that full sentence.
Yeah.
So is this a thorn or rose? It's a thorn.
It's a thorn if it's true. We'll see how that one plays out. I mean, someone can go on there and just kind of own it. You never really know. It didn't sound like it added up perfectly, but you know, that might be his gist and kind of insinuate that later on. So we'll see how that goes. If that's the case, definitely a thorn.
Okay. All right. And lastly, Katie getting super upset and saying she's done and she's heartbroken in the super tease. Rose or thorn?
Well, I mean, rose for our entertainment's sake, but thorn if she actually ends up with no one.
Yeah. I would say it's a thorn on that one as well. I feel for her if, you know, nothing transpires after the show, but I think it'll be good ratings. Again, we've seen Katie as the powerful girl. We've seen her as like just knowing her worth. I don't think we've seen the love story out of her yet. I don't think we've seen her break down in any sense. So it'll be good to see all sides of Katie to that degree, just being like, all right, she's got a sensitive side. She's got a serious side. She's got a playful side. She's got a romantic side. I think that's why this season will be a good one because I think all of those things are going to come to fruition through what we see through the promos.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see soon enough. In the meantime, Ashley, Kelly, thank you both so much for joining us today. This wraps up this week's episode of the Bachelor Tea Party. make sure you guys go check us out on our Facebook fan page in the meantime, and we will see you again next week. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.